Hello and welcome to the fourth episode of Sports Talk on Our Time. My name is Frank Verdecchia and I'm here with my colleague, retired Pittsburgh Trib sports writer and Sicilian messenger boy, Jerry DiPaola. How you doing today, Jerry?
Not as good as you, Frank.
Well,
You're always in a good mood.
let me ask you something, Jerry.
Yes, sir.
Would you rather be a deputized sports editor or a Sicilian messenger boy?
Oh, I don't want to be a Sicilian messenger boy. Didn't he get whacked in The Godfather too?
Well, he did. It kind of blew my mind when I found out Uncle Junior was Johnny Ola. That was
Pretty cool, yeah.
that was pretty cool.
But he got whacked, so I'd rather be a retired sports writer and doing a podcast with you is a highlight of my first 3 months of my retirement.
Oh, absolutely. But you were a deputy for about 24 hours, and that stopped. So.
I still got the badge.
Well, there you go.
Maybe I'll wear it next week.
Why don't we start today? We got a lot of stuff going on in baseball.
Buccos, your Buccos.
Yeah, what about them?
You have your Buccos. Well, you know what? I did a little math today, Frank. I don't know if you want me to go over this, but they're 39 and 68, right? No, what's their record? They're 37.
They're 19 games under 500, I believe.
Yeah, I figured it out. They won 39 of their first 97 games. That's it. I'm sorry.
Okay.
39 of the first 97 games. In order to reach last year's win total and the win total of the year before that, they're both 76. They have to win 37 of their final 65. So they're on a pace to be much worse than last year. Go from 39 wins now. They have to win 37 in 32 fewer games. You know,
they're going to lose 100 games, I would think.
I think that's a good bet, and I think a big reason for that. And we can talk about some of the good things with O'Neill Cruz tonight with the home run derby and Skeens pitching the All-Star game tomorrow night. One of the big reasons is Brian Reynolds. You know, a guy's making a lot of money. The power, Bob Nutting gets criticized a lot for not opening up his wallet, but he gave Reynolds a millionaire many times over. And what's he hitting? 225 with a OPS of 656 with only 10 home runs
and .98 in July. He's got 4 hits, like you said, 1 RBI. And this guy's getting, well, for the Pirates, $12.5 million in 1 year is like getting almost $50 million in 1 year. No, and then next year he's up to 14. Year after that, he's up to 15. So, I mean,
but the thing is, forget the money. They count on him to be a run producer, to get on base, to hit the gap, hit doubles, triples, and home runs. But he only has 10 home runs. We're almost 100 games into the season. Yep. He's going to end up with maybe 15 home runs. He has to hit 25 or 30. Home runs and knock in between 85 and 90 runs. Right now, he's at 46 runs batted in, and that's not good.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big reason they're losing. And you can't blame that on Bob Nutting because Nutting went out and paid him.
Yeah, I mean, that is the case. I mean, he's supposed to be a star for you. And when you look at it, they got him for like $108 million is what the contract was for when they signed him, and that's nothing. And at the time for the Pirates, it's a lot. But what he's doing right now, he makes O'Neill Cruz seem like Barry Bonds right now, and it's very disappointing.
It's hard to make O'Neill Cruz look like Barry Bonds, but well, maybe tonight he will look like Barry Bonds. The guy is going to hit a lot of home runs in the home run derby. It's going to go about 150 mile an hour and go about 1,000 feet into the air. But is he a good baseball player? If he wins tonight, people get all excited about it. But he's hitting 202.
Exactly.
And he has 15 home runs, 16 home runs.
16 home runs. They're going to throw him. They're going to lob the ball to him. Coaches. It's like little kids' coaches pitch.
Coach pitch, yeah.
Yeah, and then they get excited. I cannot stand that when someone talks about his trajectory or someone talks about the speed with which he hits the ball. Or, I mean, give me a break.
Hit for an average. Get on base once in a while.
Yes. What would you rather have? A frozen rope hitting in the outfield that gets caught, or would you have a can of corn that gets runs in?
Right. You hit a sacrifice fly once in a while.
And the funny thing is, Barry Bonds competed in '92 and he only hit 2 home runs. So,
the home run derby is, I guess, a made-for-TV event. To me, it's
exactly.
Frank. I covered it in Cleveland in 2019, and it's just guys, swinging as hard as they can and hitting it into the seats, or maybe it ends up in the warning track, and kids are out there chasing the ball. To me, it doesn't make not interesting to me at all. I don't care about it. I watch it to see what Cruz does. I'll watch the All-Star game tomorrow night to see what Skeens does. He's going to pitch probably 1 inning, hopefully no more than 1 inning. And but this home run derby and All-Star game doesn't do a lot for me right now. I'm ready for football season, Frank. Right?
Oh, we were only a couple weeks away from that.
Right.
I really don't. I think they're going back to wearing their actual team jerseys this year, uniforms, because I mean, Major League Baseball could screw up anything, putting everyone in, making full team American League, National League uniforms, talking to the players while they're on the field, talking to the coaches. I mean, this stuff
That's
is so awful that
silly. Yeah.
I mean, what they've done to the game, you can't bring back Joe Garagiola and Tony Kubek, and
That's
you
too
just
bad.
can't do it, unfortunately. You're listening to this garbage, and hey, let's talk to Paul Skeens before he throws his next pitch. Yeah, oh man, I'm getting so excited. And let's put all of them in the same uniforms. Who cares? When we were kids, we couldn't wait to see all the players out there in their different uniforms. It's sacrilege. Sports have been ruined. I just can't.
1974, Frank. I was down in downtown Pittsburgh. It was an All-Star game that year, and all the players were gathered at the Hilton Hotel the day before. And I walked in, and I was second-year college, I guess. And I walked in, and you saw Pete Rose and all those great players from the 70s walking through the lobby, and it was exciting. It was exciting. I don't know if kids do that today or they're that excited about it. I don't think they are.
No.
And the All-Star game to me is just some filler, for the middle of the summer.
Exactly.
And that's why they do the ESPYs on Wednesday, because there's nothing else going on.
Well, the game lost its luster whenever they remember when it ended in a tie. It lost before that, but right after that, it just proved that it was just an exhibition and nobody cares. It's just not. No one's out there to really want to win it. We didn't know, when we were kids, we didn't know who was on the team, and we had to be up there, be home after our Little League baseball games, make sure we saw the introductions, and we're like, praying that there's Pirates on the team. And just don't have that now, and it's not good.
Well, nobody follows the Pirates these days. Kids don't follow the Pirates these days like they did when we were kids.
No, and you know what? They almost had that too. I remember in 2013, went to the game against they were playing the Cardinals in that game. They won the game to go up 2-1 in the series, and we went down and we were going to buy tickets to get in, and it was going to be a fortune. So we sat at this little bar in Federal Street, and there were fathers there with their sons, and Pedro Alvarez would be up, and you'd see these little kids get so excited to see Pedro Alvarez and Neil Walker and Andrew McCutcheon. It was almost like whenever I was a kid and you saw Dave Parker and Willie Stargell and Bill Madlock. They actually had players that they could hang their hats on, and they had their run, and that's it. There's nobody to get excited about.
Who do the kids want to get excited about today? Jack Sawinski?
Yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do? O'Neal
no
Cruz?
offense, Jack Sawinski is a nice guy, but
I'm sure he is.
And Nick Gonzalez, I think is going to be a good player.
Yeah.
But most kids don't know who he is because the Pirates are a bad team. And that's sad. Now they're trying to make themselves better. And I give Ben Cherington credit for the draft last night. Well, he got criticized for drafting 2 high school pitchers in his first 2 picks last night because they need hitters more than anything else. But the baseball draft is different than any other draft. You can't draft a guy, and expect him to be a contributor of his first year, even a college guy. So you draft 2 high school pitchers, guys who aren't going to be ready for 2 or 3 years. But it gives Cherington a little bit of comfortability when he goes to trade, say, Mitch Keller in a couple of weeks. He can say, well, I got these 2 young high school pitchers coming up who I drafted in the first round who are going to be good players. I can afford to draft trade a Mitch Keller. I can afford, to make a trade to get a big hitter because I have depth in the pitching staff all through the system. Now, whether these guys are any good or not, who knows?
And reading about this kid, this Seth Hernandez, I mean, he hits. He's 6'4", he's 200 pounds, he throws 98 miles an hour, he's got a great changeup. I read Kevin Gorman's story today, so
we should all read more Kevin Gorman.
That's absolutely right.
Much better off if we read more Kevin Gorman.
We would be, but you're right about the Major League Draft though, because these kids. Look at Jamison Tyone's a good example. Injuries can get you. He had all the tools to be somebody, and he's still in the league, and he's had a nice career. But when you take somebody second overall, and kid can throw 98 miles an hour, and he's got all the potential to be a superstar, and you're nothing. Quinn Priester was a first-round pick, and he didn't make it here. He's in Milwaukee right now, and he's 7-2.
Pitching well, actually.
Yeah, but here he was like one of those guys who had like, so stuff. It just wasn't enough. Right. He was good, but not enough. Mitch Keller was a second-round pick.
But if Seth Hernandez turns out to be a good pitcher and he comes up through the system relatively quickly, they can afford to make a trade either now or in the off season for hitters because that's what they really need to do.
Yeah, you could absolutely do. I'm wondering when they're bringing Bubba Chandler up.
Well, I guess he had a little bit of slump there for a while, and they really don't need him because they have a good starting pitching staff. So you don't want to force them into the season right now. Let them still keep developing in the minor leagues. But they got guys like that, young guys, not just Paul Skeens. The young guys who are going to be good players, good pitchers for a long time, so they can afford to trade a Keller. And Keller, is pitching really well right now. He might get you the hitter you want. Maybe either now or in January.
Yeah, I agree. They definitely have a playoff pitching staff, at least a rotation, I think. And if Chandler's as good as what we might think he is, and you got a rotation that's good enough to get you to the playoffs. It's just you got to hit the ball. You got to like one hit, 6 hits a game or something. They get shut out 3 days in a row. I don't know. I don't know what you're supposed to teach. How do you teach these guys how to hit the ball?
Well, they fired your hitting coach in the offseason. They got a new guy in there. If you're not a good hitter, a good major league hitter, you're not a good major league hitter. I don't know. I'm not sure that by the time you get to the majors, some hitting coach is going to teach you how to become a good hitter. You got to work at it and work at it and work at it. And these guys are working at it. Yeah. But I just think the talent level, the raw talent level, isn't there. They're good enough to be great players in high school, great players in college, maybe. But it's a whole different ball game. With baseball, is a much more difficult game to get into right away. Football, the Steelers are going to be counting on rookies and second-year guys this year. Yeah. But the Pirates can't do that because baseball is not like that at all. It's a hard game to master.
Well, it tells you how hard baseball is. I mean, if you can fail 7 out of 10 times and be a Hall of Famer, that just proves to you how difficult this game is. And
there you go.
And and in the pitching too. I mean, people will figure you out. I mean, Paul Skeens is just a generational talent, freak. Mm-hmm. But any other pitcher, I mean, they will figure you out soon enough. And when they say, if you're going to tell me Pete Rose, if he played today in his prime, he wouldn't figure out Paul Skeens after maybe 1 or 2 at bats, you're lying to yourself.
But he's a great hitter.
Yeah, he was, and that's the thing. And Skeens, the funny thing about Skeens is, he joins DiMaggio, Carew, Ichiro, and Frank Robinson as the players to start in the All-Star game their first 2 seasons.
And the only pitcher to do it.
And the only pitcher, yes. Mm-hmm. And the last 2 pitchers were Chris Sale and Max Scherzer. Max Scherzer were the last 2 pitchers to start consecutive games.
But not their first 2 seasons.
No, not their first 2 seasons. But Barry Bonds, I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing what this guy does, and he's 4-7.
Well, they're wasting his talent. He's probably going to be ready for arbitration in the off season between the 26 and 27 seasons. Okay.
Yeah.
And arbitration is going to give him probably a lot more money than Bob Nutting wants to pay. Yeah. So maybe the winter of 2026 might be the time they decide to trade him.
Yeah.
And hopefully he has a good finish to this season. He pitches well next season. You can get a ransom for him going into the 27 season. But do you really want to do that? You got a guy the fans love him. They go to the games when he pitches. The attendance spikes when he pitches. Do you want to trade a guy like that? Now, they may. First of all, they don't want to pay the money that he's going to get, $50 million or $55 million a year, whatever it is. They don't want to pay that kind of money. But second of all, he's a chip that might get them the hitters they need. And the hitters right now, you can't depend on Tommy Pham and Seth Horwitz. These off-season acquisitions. Ben Cherington, bless his heart, has tried like heck to do it, but he does not have the blessing of Bob Nutting to go out and spend money on free agents. The Pirates don't spend money on free agents. They got lucky with in the back of the day. They got lucky with AJ Burnett. They got lucky with Russell Martin. Cervelli got another free agent. They
got lucky with Francisco Liriano. See, that's what they have to do. They have to rely. They got to roll the dice. Roll the dice. We're going to take this guy Liriano. He had some good years. He's getting a little up in age, but hey, we give him a cheap contract. If he pans out the way he used to, we got ourselves a deal. If he doesn't, so what? We'll just get rid of him and throw him to the woodshed with everybody else, all the other garbage.
I'm afraid that the Pirates' record is going to be they're going to win 60 or 65 games this year. And is it going to be any better next year? Are they going to go out and really, feed their offensive problem? I don't think so.
And here's the thing too, with how bad it is. You get Paul Skeens, and you're already thinking about getting rid of him. So who cares if you have the first overall pick? We have the best pitcher in a generation, and Oh, we're already thinking about their Pirates are already, when are they going to trade him? When are they going to trade him? Because they're not any good. Said, okay, now we're going to go get the next Paul Skeens.
They're
And then
wasting
he
his
hits
talent.
you. You're just wasting his talent till they go somewhere else. It's going to come down to Nutting having to spend money. He has to put $150 million.
Or they get a salary cap. Now
Yeah,
there could be a lockout,
a
because
floor.
a floor and a cap. But I
Yeah,
don't think the Players Association wants that, and some owners don't want it either. Maybe it would help
yeah,
Bob Nutting if they had one.
yeah.
But if you get a salary cap, then maybe you have a little better opportunity to compete if there's a
Sure.
cap. But right now, I don't think that they're going to have a lockout going into the 2027 season,
Mm-hmm.
which would be disastrous because the fans don't care about
Sure.
money and how much money they're making, whether there's a cap or not. They
Yeah.
just want to see baseball and they want to see their team win. And they'll just turn them in Pittsburgh. It'll turn the people off even more if there's a lockout.
And a salary cap or a floor might get Nutting to sell because that floor is not going to be 88 million or so. He's going to have to pay probably double that if they had a floor. There is no way they're going to say, "Hey, Bob Nutting, we'll make it whatever you want. How about 50 million a year?"
He would make less money, but he would still make money. Yeah.
Yes,
I think he'd
but
still make a profit.
clearly that's not enough. He has to make a ton of money. He just can't make, just
Well,
break even. What if you just broke even for maybe the next, say, 5 years? Say you broke even or made maybe 1% over the next 5 seasons, but you played in the playoffs 4 of those seasons, made it to the World Series twice, and maybe won once, and the team ended up going from 1.5 billion to 2 billion.
That wouldn't be good enough for him. He wants to make money. Getting in the playoffs would be nice, and he could do all the interviews he wants, and how excited he'd be about getting into the playoffs. But it's going to cost him money. Look what he did after the 2015 season. They went 3 straight years to the playoffs. Then they tore it down to the studs because he didn't want to spend the money. So I think if he wins for whatever, if somehow they get lucky in 2026 and they win, and they go into 2027, he's going to start eliminating salaries again. Then you're back to where you started.
Yeah. Well, here's a blueprint is the Florida Marlins. If you look in '97, and I think they won again in 2003, they did well at drafting great players, future potential. They found other players. They won the World Series, and then they basically sold the team. Sold the players after that. But they won a World Series though. You win in '97, you win in 2003. The fan base is down in Florida. They don't care anyways. But up here, if they won a World Series and Nutting then just dismantled the team, this place would go crazy. They'd love it, I think, just to have a World Series. I mean, just to say we won the World.
But I can't wrap my head around a Pirate team winning the World Series right now. I just can't. I just can't imagine that. I was around in 1979 and 1971, and it was a lot of fun when they won. But that was so long ago, and they haven't been back since 1979, and they've been so bad in recent seasons. They're going to be bad this year. They could be bad again next year. I just can't imagine the Pirates winning a World Series. Maybe I'll see it before I die, but I doubt it.
Nah, I don't know, Jerry. You're getting up there, man. I don't know.
That's right. That's what I'm saying.
I was breaking down the '70s, and if they had the same playoff system they have today, the Pirates would have gone to the playoffs at least 8 seasons that year. And who knows? They probably would have won. They won. I guarantee they win at least one more World Series.
Yeah, but it's easier to get into the playoffs these days.
Yeah,
and they still can't get in.
Yeah.
Like I said, they won 76 games the last 2 seasons. Right now they're sitting on 39 with only 65 games to play.
Yeah.
They're going to end up winning, like we said, 65 games, or maybe losing 100 again.
And you might as well keep Kelly as your manager. Who's going to come in? You can't, like a coach we know says, you can't win if all your players are lousy. So, what's the sense in?
That's right.
Why get rid of them? What's he going to do? You can't work any magic. You can't teach a player that isn't any good how to play. You can't.
The best coaches, the best managers have great players behind them.
Yes.
And that's that. I think Quinn Hurdle had great players behind him.
Yeah.
But I think they also had winners on that team.
Yeah.
Like Burnett, McCutchen, Russell Martin. They were all guys who were winners. Neil Walker.
Yeah.
This year's team doesn't seem to have that. They don't seem to have the kind of the guys that can go the extra mile, that can play with a little bit of an edge. AJ Burnett, played with an edge, and Russell Martin was a tough guy behind the plate. Even Cervelli was a tough guy behind the plate. This team, Henry Davis, he tries so darn hard. He holds the bat and he wants to turn it into splinters, but he just doesn't seem to be the kind of guy that can that these
No.
players can get behind. And none of those players are those kind of players.
And the guys that you're counting on are all terrible. Reynolds, Cruz, and Cabrian Hayes are your guys that should be they're supposed to be the foundation right there, and you go from there. And
Right.
when all three of them stink, Gold Gloves are great, but if you can't hit, I mean, the average player can make the plays at third base, just because Cabrian Hayes can dive a few times and maybe throw from his knees, but it doesn't matter if you're hitting 210 and you got 14 home runs and 65 RBIs and you're playing a power position. And I mean, there's another guy I would give, but like you said, these guys aren't worth anything. So.
They're not going to get much for Brian Hayes, I don't think.
No.
Keller, I think, is a different story. Keller is pitching really well. He can be a contending team. We'd like to put him in the middle of their starting rotation, and he would do well. And if he could fetch you a guy who's going to hit maybe 10 or 15 home runs the rest of the season and come back next year and hit 30 to 35, then maybe you do trade him.
He's much better in that 3-10 record, that's for sure.
An
interesting thing I saw last week was he might have been 2 weeks ago. I went to a Pirate game, and he is the all-time strikeout leader at PNC Park.
That's right. Yeah.
So that's an impressive stat there for him.
Yeah, I think it is, and I think they will trade him if they can get a fair return. But I don't want to trade Mitch Keller and get a guy who's supposed to be a great Double-A player or a guy who's 19 years old down in Bradenton or down in Florida, hitting the cover off the ball against high school kids. You want to get guys who can move right into the starting lineup in Pittsburgh, become good players in Pittsburgh, not only this year, but in the next couple of seasons before you have to get rid of Paul Skeens.
That's asking a lot in today's baseball. Maybe not in the 80s when you had Tony Pena or something, but it's asking a lot. Teams don't give up the talent like they used to.
Oh, Frank, I can hear my stomach starting to rumble.
Yeah. What are you having today, Jerry?
I got chicken thighs, Italian Dixie garlic chicken thighs by my friend Henry's Meat Market up in Cranberry. And we got to put those on the grill tonight, and then I'm just going to sit back and try to avoid watching the home run derby.
Oh man, Jerry. Well, Monday used to be my favorite day to eat, Jerry, when I was a kid, because Grandma Verdecchia made fried dough and soup every Monday.
What kind of soup?
It was like a pastina soup with some chicken in it or roast beef, something
Nothing like homemade soup.
Jerry, the apostles didn't eat that well in those days. It was just fantastic.
Tess makes the best wedding soup. Anytime there's any kind of occasion in the DiPaola family, Tess's wedding soup is right on top of the list.
Well, if she's making fried dough, you better call me up and we'll do the show from your place then.
There you go. Yep, that's right.
All right. All right, Jerry. I'll talk to you soon, man.
Okay, Frank. Nice talking to you. We'll get some pit and Steeler talk next week.
Next week. All right. Take care.
Okay, man.